Okay, we are page Lamed Daled. So he says that Levush is not something that's separate, but it's united. In page showing page Lamed Daled, Shom Aschas Pasach Eliyot. So we're the dogma from a regular clothing. Kamoiken will be slapshus, bis nefesh legit no shabamish, but it's slapshus mamish. The way nefesh lekis is included in nefesh mamish is slapshus mamish, not about kocha and not as something outside. It's united. Kamoin brings a dogma to that to the slapshus and the shama beguf. More be slapshus nefesh beguf and the kochas and nefesh. The attributes of the soul are melubash, are clothed, invested in every goof. I kochas nasim be slapshus zu kamahusay vorim shmusay vorim. The koich has become essentially like the vorim. Sheboim bak shama. They become more megushim. They become more materialistic and physical and megushim. Kamoi, for example, he brings two examples. Number one, koich has seichel atzkel atzkel gashmis. So the nefesh alikis, the nefesh, the neshama, before it's melubash in the goof, it's not masculine scholar gashmis. Its entire intellectual endeavor is in spiritual things. Only because it's melubash in the moyer hagashmi, it's masculine scholar gashmis. Second example is koich hariyah liyah is buying gashmis. The inyan of re'iyah, the way it is in the neshama itself, and the koich nefesh before the melubash in the goof, it's not really a gashmis. It's not physical sight. It's a conceptual sight. Perception, but the way it begashmis, it's real gashmis. So we see two dogmas. One is seichel, one is re'iyah. She'ein ze mitzad ha'kochas mitzad ha'atzman. The fact that the kochas seichel is maskal tzkol gashmis. The kochas re'iyah sheva nefesh. It's re'iyah. So re'iyah she'ein ze mitzad kochas ha'atzman. Ki mitzad lusham mitzad islapshus and be'evei ha'guf. The reason that this kochas ha'nefesh are able to operate in the physical world and relate to physical objects, it's because as a result of these slapshus by Eva Yaguf, because they're melubash, they're invested in the body, so in the body. The gam and other thing happens. Al day slapshus zoom is mizdachim evam Yusuf. The physical limbs, like the brain, the eye, become more refined. So yadua so it means a dogma when you get the kachasef. Says that through when a person invests his mind in a lot of intellectual endeavors, so the actual physical brain becomes more refined. When in other places it says that the brain gets more knation. Zeo, כשכך השכל מסקר דרכם המייח, כשכך השכל uses the חמר המייח, the matter, the material of the brain to reach its analysis. במילא לכן הוא מזדח על ידי זה. So במילא the מייח becomes more refined. So we see on what directions. On the one hand, the Evoim Gashmim a megashim the ruchni. On the other hand, the ruchni, the nefesh, refines the keli, the body. These two aspects of these slapshus we find also in the slapshus of nefesh lekis nashavam. Number one, shakaras nefesh lekis nasik vos karas nefesh shabamis. Similar to what we said in the nefesh v'guf, because of the guf, because of the guf, the kochas and nefesh become more megusham. So the same thing here. Kochas nefesh lekis nastim k'mos nefesh habamis. The kochas nefesh lekis become more. I mean, I don't say megusham. Because nefesh habamis is also a spiritual being, so it's a more low grade of spirituality. והיינו,
The nefesh Elokis is losing the feeling that she had before.
That's what's mashma here. I don't know, losing. It's becoming more relating to nefesh habamis. I don't know. Look what the lashon he says. Aseichel nefesh Elokis mask, but leikus b'seichel ativi nefesh habamis. The way the nefesh Elokis understands and analyzes godliness, when it's melubash nefesh habamis, it's used in seichel ativi. Kofi oifen mahus haseichel ativi shel keina askala Elokis nefesh habamis. Nefesh Elokis. You're talking about a theoretical thing here, that the way the nefesh Elokis understands and analyzes the likus, when it's melubash nefesh habamis, it's a different way. It's called askala seichel ativi.
But there's also a exception to that. We see Anoshim that are not even Mekayim mitzvahs, and they have a Erus HaNeshama. That means that the Neshama,
that's not part of the slapshus nefesh habamis. That's a different. That is not called slapshus nefesh habamis. That's called ha'or. It's a special ha'or. Yeah, you're talking about a different point. He's talking about the slapshus, the way it operates through it in the seichel. Okay, what you're saying is true. I don't know if that's what the slapshus means. Okay, similarly, the midah is the emotions of nefesh Elokis she'en kafi oifen ha'adbo the nefesh habamis. The way the midah of nefesh Elokis are expressed depending on the personality of the midah nefesh habamis. V'hainu ahava habamis shebelev the fit tivas dom. The hava. But the above nefesh midas habamis is the ava habamis shebelev. In other words, the animalistic type of ava, for example, which depends on tivas dom. It depends on the type of, I mean, the blood. I guess it's talking about personality. Depends if he's a person who's more hot-blooded or more contained. Since his nefesh habamis isn't such a personality, this person nefesh habamis is chmilus. This person nefesh habamis is actually sorry b'avel Hashem. She have a nefesh Elokis. The gamkin kafi b'chmilus kius kafi adbos a nefesh habamis. So the expression of the av Elokis of the nefesh Elokis depends on the personality of the nefesh habamis. We never see shetia av Elokis a focus mitiva sahav nefesh habamis. It's impossible that a person's godly type of expression of feeling, godly feeling av Elokis should be opposite of his nature. So brings a dogma. Because Avom's nature, which the way he explains it here, means the terror nefesh habamis. That's the nefesh. Because the Avom's nature as a human being, as a person, when it's a chesed, he was a giving person. He was full of benevolence and kindness. The male hava shaloi. So this avas Hashem is also compared to ava kamayim. Ava kamayim is a type of love which is quiet and
It is. This is logical because the same way, like you have a conduit, you have a pipe, and the water goes through it. If the pipe is small, then it's going to be
right. Yeah, of course it's logical. So he says, we say in Tfilas Geshem, Ava is compared to Mayim. Ava is given Ava Kamayim. Ava Kamayim is a type of Ava which is compared to Chesed. which is full of. Okay, the Ava Kamayim Ava Krish Peish, it's its own sugya. Ava Kamayim is considered a more ashpa. Yitzchak she'oyer b'chinas hagvura because Yitzchak's nature was b'chinas hagvura is nefesh habamis. His nature. But Memela Hava Shaloi did have Ava, but his Karish Peish was like a fiery love, which is more Gvur. The next line is interesting.
What does it mean exactly? The Nefesh Elikis feels and thinks like the Nefesh Habamis?
That's what he's saying here, exactly. That is saying here that the Mislab's Nefesh Elikis, Nefesh Habamis is in such a way that it relates that it relates to Likus similar to the personality of Nefesh Habamis, just like his Nefesh Habamis, his type of Nefesh Habamis, whose nature is to be Bechmimos. Melee, the way the Nefesh Elikis operates, it uses the same way the relates to Nefesh Elikis.
Not having the same feelings that the Nefesh Habamis is having.
Yeah, we're not talking about the same feeling. The Nefesh Habamis is interested in the taivas, but the type of feeling, what kind is it? Because no, when we say the person is, this personality is a very excitable type of person. This person is meyushiv, the person that, according to the Ritz Maimon, means it's Nefesh Habamis, and
having a godly koiches, they are stronger than Nefesh Habamis, even at this level. No.
If it's stronger, the point is, it's not about strong or weak. The question is what type. What, just like you said in the Seichel, what type, because Nefesh Elikis is melubash Nefesh Habamis, it expresses itself in the same way as the Nefesh Habamis. So it's not strong is not an element here. It's not about strong. It's about what type.
The whole purpose of Nefesh Elikis is to mishane the Nefesh.
Okay, now again, you're now bringing in something that doesn't say here. Right now, it's like melubish. Melubish means it's meshane the teichen. The Nefesh Habamis wants to go after Taives, and Nefesh Elikis wants to go to Telikus. But in what way is it going to Nefesh Elikis, to the Telikus? The way it's doing it according to the personality of Nefesh Habamis. That's what he says here. That's. I would even say that's like Chiddush, a shtickle Chiddush, what he's saying here. But the reason I'm saying is a Chiddush is because we always say that Yitzchak is Chesed and Avram is Gvur. It doesn't mean until this Maimah, till you will in this Maimah, that means that Yitzchak's, that Avram's neshama came from Chesed, came from the Madriga of Chesed. That's why he was Chesed, right? There's Nefesh Elikis.
So
that's what we assume till now. Here is Mechadash on the point. The we say Avram is Chesed, it means his personality, his Nefesh Habamis is Chesed. And that is why his Neshama Nefesh Elikis, when it operates, it uses that mode. It's I would say it's shtickle. It's not, that's not the way it's usually understood. I'm sorry, I was saying, Mandy, what are you saying?
it's like Beis Shammai and Beis Hillel, same thing.
Yeah, that's what he always thought. He tells us here, Mamish, a new
almost like a practical thing.
A new way to look at it.
Yeah.
It's quite. It's
so what? I don't see that why you're saying contradiction. You're saying that the neshama itself should be the nefesh elikis, should be chesed geura, and now he's saying that.
What does it say in Tanya? What does it say in Tanya in the Akdama? But nefesh as the b'sham is chesed. Does it mean nefesh habamis over there? It means that it's nefesh elikis comes from chesed. That's what it pashtus. That's that we always understood. So we always understood when we say Avram chesed, it means Avram's nefesh elikis comes from Midas HaChesed. That's. I mean, I'm not saying that was the right way to understand, but that was the regular understanding.
The nefesh elokis, I'm sorry, nefesh elokis is like a pure godliness. I mean, I don't think it has any characteristic. The way that it comes in the goof, in the body, that goes according to the characteristic of the nefesh bahamis.
You're right. That's what it says here. I'm not saying
it makes sense.
I'm not saying it doesn't make sense. I'm not.
No, I know. I'm saying maybe the way we should read what I understand what you're saying. I'm not contradicting you. I'm saying what it says in the Tanya. It could be that's the way it should be read, should be understood, because there is not the quality of.
Clearly in Tanya that the sheish of the nefesh comes from Chesed Gvura.
Yeah. It's just, look, it's not as simple. Yeah, it's possible according to what we learn here now, we have to rethink how we always understand what it says in Tanya. But this the simple reading of what we learned in Tanya till we see what it says here. Like I said, the Shayach Nafsham. Let me look in Tanya now. What does it say here? And the Shamet, that's the Lashon Tanya. The Shamet is so nachlakas the Shalosh Kaimach Imit Smal Ve'em Tzach Chesed Gvur Chulu. And the Shamet is Shalosh Imit Chesed and the Gosan Gam Galat Skape Chesed. So we're talking about Nefesh Bahamis over here. Shalosh Imit Pashtas talks about the Nefesh Lekis. Okay, so maybe after we read what we learned in our Maimah, we have to rethink what it says in those Maimah. But it's a new way of looking. It's a new way of understanding. That he says now, the next line is, I mean, it's understood. It's written a little backwards. Tzadikim ha'evdim berish pe'esh ha'gvuros yeh gam ha'bahamis v'eschulos tzimtzumim. He brings a raya that the nefesh halikis depends on Shabamis. We see Lepoyel, he says that people, tzadikim, or evdim Hashem berish pe'esh ha'gvuros, tzadikim serve the Eibishter in a fiery way. So we see that the Gamma Bahamis may look at their personality. I think that's how I translate. You look at personality, they see that that's their personality in day-to-day operations, unrelated to Avodas Hashem. They're also going to lose it in Tzumim. So that's proof that the reason why
not talking about the Rebbe, because the Rebbe has to be clear everyone.
Okay. First of all, the Rebbe is a different thing. The Rebbe is like Kel HaKel. You're talking about higher Madrega. So what are you saying about the Rebbe? How do you explain it? I don't even know what it means by Nefesh Bahamis by a Rebbe. But okay, what's your point? By a Rebbe. Well, how are you explaining it?
He said that the tzadikim that is b'vchinas gvuros v'tzimtzumim.
Yeah.
You cannot say it by Rebbe because you have to be Keil L'Akwil.
Yes, okay. Anytime we talk about tzaddikim here, we're not talking about a tzaddikim that we understand what a Rebbe is. A Rebbe is a different thing. It's in the Neshama Klolis. It's not just tzaddik. Tzaddikim is tzaddikim. He's he's a Eid, but he's a tzaddik. We're not talking about tzaddikim in the sense that Neshama, like the other aspects of a Rebbe, Neshama Klolis, Mashpia al-Choloil, it's a different Madrega. Now we're talking about in a Agam, I don't know about Avon V'Yitzchak, but okay, we talk about the, you say like let's want to be a bit more Megushim, but the Rebbe also let's say there's a difference in the style. Like, you know what? Maybe that's a good not about Moshe. Because even the style between the Rebbe and the Friediger, it speaks differently. He acts differently, right? So okay. I don't know. I mean, I would always understood that's the Amshach Halikis. It belongs to our generation, right? That's the Pashtus. According to what it says here, it means that its personality affects. I don't know. I don't want to talk about the Rebbe in such a way, but that's what it sounds like. That because his personality is kach v'kach, so the male is Avodas Hashem, is a likus, connection to likus is also in such a way.
So back to the statement, the last statement, David, that you mentioned about this statement, Harei Sadikim. I think it fits in with what he has been saying before. He's saying this is Harei, in other words, must be, or maybe that's the best translation. Must be that those that they have Sadikim, that their avoda is Gevura, must be that their midot also is in the same camp. In other words, this is not backward. It's really continuation of what the statement has been saying.
How?
Because it's saying Harei, that we see that the Sadikim, that the Shama, that Odin Berish Be'esh, must be that also the Nefesh Bahamis is also Gevura. You know what I'm saying? It's the same.
No, the question is what is the cause and what's the effect? What is the chicken? What's the egg?
Also the same thing. That the cause is the Nefesh Bahamit. I mean, and the effect is Gevura.
Yeah, okay. Some say. Yeah, you're right. But I mean, he could have written it back the other way. Tzadikim shemepchiz rostim tzum avodah shlem berish be'esh.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying, but I mean, this it's not contradicting what he said before.
Not contradicting. I'm not saying it's contradicting. Just the way it's expressed is a little bit.
Yeah, I understand. Okay.
Okay, what's in the gay? The ganze Meister. All this is really part of a discussion.
The Sibir for that is the Nefesh Bahamis.
Exactly. Yeah.
But
exactly.
I'm not sure that this is what he's saying here.
So what do you think it's saying?
That the neshama b'shosho.
What? That's not what it says here. The whole point is, look what it says in the type of the page. Midas nafshalakis shein kefi oifen had bod. The midas nafshabamis. The nafshalakis is meluv nafshabamis. The male nafshalakis depends on the nafshabamis. Okay, so you're saying here that he's going back to where does it say the shirish? That because so he's saying that the last line tells us the opposite. That because the shirish and the shama is in gevura, that's why the nafshabamis is in gevura. That's what he's saying. Okay, and that's why I said it's written like it doesn't fit where it says.
That's how it sounds.
Okay, but look at the next slide. Should have said the opposite. The nefesh are the same way as the nefesh habamis. Lochein, what is the result? If the nefesh halikis would, if the person, let's say, is a person by nature, the nefesh hativis is a very quiet person, is a very like he says, bekriros, chesed, kamayim, and then nefesh halikis would do the opposite, would be an excited. If that would happen, he says to the nefesh habamis wouldn't be nisbara because his nefesh habamis is a different mode. Now the fee, the yoish hakeres nefesh halikis kafim either behos keres nefesh habamis because the nefesh halikis fits itself. It should be the same mode as nefesh habamis says. Lachena the keres nefesh halikis misbar keres nefesh habamis. That's so the koich is both. Now he's talking about the seichel and the meat. Sheras kolor the likis. If the seichel ativ nefesh habamis, the seichel ativ is bar de zachul. It's a pity we can't relate to any of this stuff in real life, but some paper. I don't know what seichel ativ and seichel likis. In other places in Chassidus, the seichel ativ and seichel likis was that seichel ativ is more yeshus, and seichel likis is more bittul. But he says that when he says the nefesh halikis is melubash and seichel ativ, that means in a way that the seichel nefesh halikis also becomes more yeshus. So it was mudna to say that. Al Kaponim, what he says is because it's melubash seichel ativ, it says mevar the seichel ativ. Even wouldn't be melubash. If the person would stay like a split personality, he has that part of him that relates to godliness one way, and there is a way that relates to the world around him. They understand, let's say the way he understands business or science is one way. The way he understands Elikut is a different way. It's a different part of his brain. If that would be the case, so the nefesh hativis, the seichel hativis wouldn't be before, because Because nefesh is melubash nefesh activis, which means that the way he understands godliness through the nefesh habam is the same way as nefesh habam understands things. So that is mevaret, elevates it, refines the nefesh habam. That's in the same thing in midas. Come on, midas. The liyo is the ahava da Hashem. You can't chasadim from his voice to fear what nefesh habam. The way his emotions, is spiritual emotions, godly emotions, operate through that filter. And that filter is the proper word, but to the levush of the teva of the nefesh habam, like we said earlier, by Avram, it's mine, by Yitzchak is Eish. So what happens then? B'meilei na'adbod nefesh halikit, b'amis is bareres b'zeh. Liyos, panas chatzarim gvor halikis, because the way the nefesh halikis expresses its emotion is to the nature of nefesh habam is. So what that causes is that nature of nefesh habam is being elevated, it's being refined, it's mizbar, mis'ala, mizbar. Omnam, but that's on one hand. On the other hand, it says zois muvan. So according to this view, the nefesh halikis lowers itself. It lowers itself to, just like in the mashal for nefesh v'koich v'guf. The nefesh, if you remember the marshal we just learned earlier, the marshal nefesh v'guf. So two parts. On one hand, the fact that the koich ha-seichel shebenefesh and the koich ha-riyah shebenefesh sits and is melubash in the physical body, in the limb, in the brain, and in the eye, that makes the koich more megushim, can relate to physical objects. So that's a yerida. At the same time, the moyach is mizdachan, becomes a little more refined because nefesh halikis sits in there. So that's the way it is in the guf. It says in the body, in the nefesh habamis, and nefesh halikis. So number one, the nefesh halikis is lefia nefesh habamis. It means that it's like we said, the asaga halikis is seichel ativi, and the ava is ava lefia teva nefesh habamis. But the Kamoy can, let's move on, then there's another aspect to it. The Keshem Sha'av Nefesh Halikis Maruba Adban Nefesh Habamis. Ainu Sha'ava Ikafev Na'adbar Kanal Bazem is Bar Ativis Nefesh Habamis, and that elevates and refines that aspect of Nefesh Habamis, the nature of Nefesh Habamis. Kamoykin Ba'ava Nefesh Habamis, Shem is Nefesh Halikis. Now he says something really radical. That because they're so united, so the nefesh habamis is busy with its own tightness. The nefesh habamis is busy with its own endeavors. What the behemoth wants. So meluvosh was yes. So he says yesh bazem av nefesh halikis. Within that ava of nefesh habamis, there is some residual of nefesh halikis because they're so united. The liyosh mislav shemisadim zeim zeh, because there one is the zeim zets, because nefesh halikis is meluvish nefesh habamis in a way that they're pushed united. Beme'echa shamidas the nefesh halikis the ayin from the ava shem nefesh halikis leves Hashem. Areya mislabeshes gam ba'ahava the nefesh habamis. Another radical statement. Because the nefesh halikis is so strongly invested in nefesh habamis, that even the nefesh habamis, its own thing, also has some kind of needs of nefesh halikis. It reminds me that says, I think maybe about it once already. There's a famous Chasam Sefer in Baal Yisro. It's Chasam Sefer in Bashas Baal Yisro, which that's the only place in I think a book called Teres Moshe. Chasam Sefer, he quotes from Tanya, and I don't know where he found it in Tanya. It says in Pasuk, it was in Pasuk in Baal Yisro, V'asafsav asher bekir b'Esav Taiva. Asafsav, that's the Rashi says that's the Erev Rav. Vayashuv vayiftu gam b'nei Yisrael. No, because the Erev Rav, as the Taivas, the Bnei Yisrael also got the Taivas. So the Chassan Sofer over there says, B'Shem Tanya, he found it somewhere in Tanya, that the pasuk is a remes that when the Nefesh HaBa'amis as a Taiva, a Safsuf, so Gam B'nei Yisrael, the Nefesh HaBa'amis is also drawn to the Taiva. So now I remind myself, because it's similar to what he says here, that the Nefesh HaBa'amis mislabeshes Gam B'Nei Yisrael. It's quite a chiddush.
So what's that in reality? What's in the mice? What's going to happen? In other words, the nefesh elokit.
Okay, wait. It's not so simple. He's going to speak about it barichas, but in reality, it means, and at this point, what it means in reality is that we should know that when we do things that are not right, our nefesh is also there. So we basically draw down the nefesh into that place. That says in Tanya, the marshal of Malat Soya, that we take Oisha Shal Melech, Resakis. So basically it means that our nefesh is also drawn all the way down.
But the nefesh elokis is also midikoyach von elokis is also strengthening the avozol.
That's what he says here. Yeah.
But here is seen positively. It seems that the Hava Kishayish the nefesh elokit
I don't know if it's positive. I don't know if it's a positive. It just describes the reality. Which part of the Avalakis? Only tziruf oisius, which is the lowest level of the Avalakis. The energy of the Nefesh Elikis becomes defiled, becomes tome in the Ta'avas Hadavar Hazor, which is what he's saying here is you shouldn't think that you have a split personality. You have the things you're good and things you're not good. So it's one comes from Yitzhak, one comes from Yitzhak. It's not. What he's saying is that's not what's happening. There's one person here, the Nefesh is Malubish Nefesh HaBa'amis. The male of the Nefesh HaBa'amis expresses a taiva, an interest, a desire for something which is not Kedusha. So the Nefesh HaLikis is also there. Because they're one, they're united. And then in the Chotz Eagle, he adds even a much something stronger, which is really radical Shebarab. It's possible that when the person's avalikis is very strong, so that adds fire, that adds strength to the type of Nefesh HaBa'amis. And actually the Maimar Hazal that brings out this point. The greater you are, the greater your Godel Haver means in the real things, the greater you are in connection to the Eibeshter, Shomayim, and Avos Hashem. So that makes the Yitzhak stronger. Why? He says, the whole Mashat Shukose Yesa Berish Be'esh Betfila Iya Avos Abaham is Gamken B'Shuk and Flow B'Yesa. Wow. So in other words, a person can reach a stage that even in his davening, he's in a very excitable and fiery state of emotional awakening. So that itself can make him after the davening, when he goes back to his mundane life. So that excitement should transfer into his excitement in in material matters. So he says, Nifloi, b'tshuka niflo b'yosef. Quite again, quite a radical thing.
Because the literally keys made it much stronger.
Yeah, exactly. But that happens. When does that all this happen? When the Ava itself in davening, when that level of Ava is in the way Yesh Mogish b'Yosef, when it emphasizes how his own ego and his own he feels himself very strongly that he has this inspiration. Like I always say that usually in Chassidus and Torah, always the marshal and this type of thing is the opposite marshal. Marshal is in a person is in davening. He's very inspired, and the guy next to him is that's what it says. The guy next to him is talking, so he gets angry at him. So that's a marshal of Chassidus. How the excitement, how that's a marshal of Avom Yotzim and Yishmol. That the marshal that you're very, because it's about yourself so much, so you're so spiritually emotionally inspired in the spiritual and the positive sense, that can spill off in the wrong way, that you express an anger at the person next to you, which is anger is a negative trait, which means that's usually the marshal of Chassidus. There are a few places. I think I just saw this week's there, if I'm not mistaken. Not true. So in those memorim, it sounds that's something that we can. It's easier to observe. Again, everything is within in a certain subtle way. In other words, the fact that you feel such a strong emotional inspiration can build up the ego. Memele, you'll look down at someone next to you. Actually, that's one way. But here he says something even more, like I call it radical, even more stronger. That the fact that you're emotionally involved and excited, that excitement can transfer into excitement in opposite things. That's quite okay.
That you said. That's the same idea you said, because it's yesh umorgash, it's his ego. So it's contradict his ego.
Exactly. So the problem is it's still a contradiction. Okay, but that's what happens. That's what Chazal said. That's pshat according to this Maimon. That's like a deeper pshat in the Maimon Chazal. Kol hagodol mechaver itz hagodol mimenu. That his greatness translates in greatness. Godel means in the sense of reaching a high state of emotional connection to the Eivashter, that translates into Itza Godel Mimenu. There's a Yetzir's own taivas are also stronger. Like he uses very strong language. But Shuka Niflo b'Yosef. That is taivas is Gashmi is like a taivas, and now Shabbat it's become much more powerful. But he says, Zeo Kasha'af Misyesh Mugush. When there's a posig in, I'm not sure, is it Kayelis or Mishnah? It's a famous posig in Mishnah in Kayelis, Liyachpitz, I think it's Mishnah.
I think it's Mishlei.
Mishlei. Liyachpitz still the Bruna, Keim is Galus. Yeah, it's Mishlei. So what does it say? So because is Galus Liboy, which means a certain expression of Yeshus, what comes out of it is also Shukani flow in Mamish in Taivas Gashus. But then he says, now he says, what?
But it says whatever. He's saying that all this is about when there is a Yesh Mulkosh, yes?
Exactly, yeah.
But Avraham Avinu, it says they are Merkavot, that the Avos, they were Merkavot. So why does Ishmael came out of Avraham?
Okay.
They didn't have this.
Okay, that's a good point. Okay, but remember, okay, so actually, this is what this mimer is all about. This is that, but he brings this entire marshal to explain the point you just made. So the marshal is what he said earlier in the marshal of the digestive thing. That the way it is in Avram, it's pure good. Just like he said earlier when they get to Toy, it's pure good, but when it's Yered Lamato, because there is a certain level of very subtle type of yeshus there, there's there's a subtle level of yeshus
I heard Bavrom, it was not from him, it was from the Deri Shelafonov, so it was colon in him. His Yotzam Mimenu Yishmael is that the Ra that was in Avram from Deri Shelafonov.
Okay, that's what about Yitzchak? That's an Esav also. Okay, that's another explanation. That's okay. That's obviously a valid explanation. That says also that's a different shot. But
I'm saying the Ra that came out of Abraham, it's such a great Ra. You know, it's not that small. It's just destroying the world. The Ishmael.
But you have to understand. Like that's the whole. Actually, that's what our mind was trying to show, how from perfect good through a very long process, it can turn into evil. So that's the first marshal he had from Lechem Pselis Nakia turns into Pselis. That in the way it is by Avram, it's Pselis Nakia, but through a long process, that turns into Pselis. Okay.
No,
And I mean, it says always Ava means Yesh Misha'ayim. What is Yesh? So yeah, there's levels in Yesh. Avram was in the state of Bitla. Avram was saying Merkava, but then still, there's a relative to the perfect, to the ultimate Bitl. So Avram, let's say Midas B'achas the Seichel is more Yeshes. It's a very subtle difference. So I don't have no clear answer, but I think that's the point he's making in our mind. That's the point he wants to make in our mind. Bring out how the ultimate evil really comes from perfect good. So that's what he's getting to. But we're still in the middle of discussing this. But first, now the Chagav in the Chatzigel brings a totally new way of understanding what we just said. So first, he brought in the Indian. Why is it? Because the godless, the Ava, the stylus of the Ava Elikis, that itself creates a what do you call it? Ava Shuka Niflo B'Yetz Nam Shabbat. But then there's another explanation, which is Bechlal from a different perspective. Mashritza Godmanu is Kamayal Derech Marshal Shoide de Laila Ilchin Rokim Shesh Kesav Rav. In Kain Aina Rak Sheretz La Pirachas Mashalom is Gabelov. So I don't know why he brings it here, just I guess for clarity, because it doesn't fit what he's saying here. It says that there's another explanation for Kodla Godam Chaver. It's even not. It's not a result of the yesh, because the Koyches Atuma have an interest in finding the God. The marshal is just like pirates or robbers. They don't go to the poor person's home. They go to the rich person's home. They go to the person with the place there's a big treasure. So similarly, the Yitzhahara, the Yitzhak, who is he going to go to? He's not going to the simple people. He's going to the Klippers have this unique interest in trapping and getting an energy from a tzaddik, from a gadol. The male, that's another explanation why Kol HaGadol the Chaver Yitzhak Gadol Imenu, which is totally unrelated to what it says in our mind. He just brings it, I guess, the Shleim saying Mokam Acham Avur. I don't think it fits in the in the explanation now, it says that the Ava itself causes the Shuk and the flow. Over there it says there's an outside reason here that the Yitzhak godly man. Why is the Yitzhak? Why is the Yitzhak make what do you call it? Attacking and using dafka in a stronger way. Dafka mishagad mechaver, dafka a person who is greater, because it's a marshal like a robber and a pirate who goes for places that for rich people, for Misham Kastavra, place that has big treasures. In Cain,
This is nothing to do with yesh or morgus. This
no, it's nothing to do. No, it's just that רק שהורית להפיל למסגבר עליו. Forget, it says who מסגבר עליו. It says the poil the tzaddik takes overpowers the Yitzhak. But הורית להפיל. It's a totally different explanation in Kol HaGadol Mechaver Yitzhak Gadol Mimenu. So we found that it's two almost opposite. The first means that this is the cause. The other one, it's fakir, because he's so high, that's why it's always mislabashim. It's a different way of understanding the Maimon Chazal. Kol HaGadol Mechaver Yitzhak Gadol Mimenu.
On the Sasani Mitzrayim, the Rebbe is explaining that Davke through Mitzrayim is Sasani. So that's the Inyan here. He wants to overcome, but the end, this is the Tevas Anishama. Misgaber Olav, that's saying here. Misgaber.
Oh, yeah, okay. Misgaber, right. Okay. We'll continue tomorrow.
Shukriya.
Yes.